Another $1 million weekend of show jumping, with Conor Swail claiming the MLSJ overall individual title in dramatic fashion, while Ashlee Bond stole the spotlight with a lightning-fast win in the Grand Prix. Over in La Coruña, Henrik von Eckermann and King Edward celebrated their 100th meter 60 round, but faced heartbreak at the last moment, leaving Philipp Weishaupt and Coby to take home the win in a stunning jump-off. Welcome to Horse Bytes, your 5 and 10 5-star show jumping, all in just 10 minutes. Two major competitions dominated the weekend: La Coruña's World Cup qualifier and the $1 million MLSJ Individual Final in thermal. Both featured spectacular and large jump-offs with unexpected moments and fierce competition. We saw the first rider out for both classes paving the way with clears to get the classes started. Although with 35% jumping clear in the World Cup, it was certainly well above the ideal 15 to 20% most course designers aim for. Even world number one Henrik von Eckermann voiced frustration about the large number of jump-off competitors during a midway interview. Overall, La Coruña was a straightforward World Cup class like we've come accustomed to seeing recently. Decent jumping, mixed field strength, pretty exciting jump-off. Philipp Weishaupt and Coby took the win over Robert Whitaker and Vermento, and hometown hero Jesus Harmendia, Echevarria, and Callias. The MLSJ Million Coachella Cup in thermal, on the other hand, was actually a really entertaining class. Nothing major necessarily happened, but with an exceptionally enthusiastic crowd that could be heard audibly rooting on their favorites, it certainly felt like a proper horse show.
Very well done to Ashlee Bond, Donatello.
And Ashlee Bond's performance was one for the books, as she took home the lion's share of the prize money on her two-time Olympic mount, Donatello. It wasn't all smooth sailing, though. In thermal, American rider Bliss Hears had a serious fall earlier in the week, leaving her out of the action for the foreseeable future. We wish her a quick recovery and hope to see her back in the saddle soon. The MLSJ Individual Final marked the penultimate event of an incredible season, and it didn't disappoint. With $1 million in prize money and the series title on the line, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The field strength was mixed, as is usual for North American show jumping, but with so much money on the line, you could feel a palpable intensity reserved for only the hardest classes of the year. The crowd was excited, and Olaf Peterson Jr.'s course hit the right notes. Big, technical enough, but didn't really overface anyone. There were a number of unforced errors.
Oh, goes very tight into the wall.
From some big names like Kristen van der Veen, Amy Miller.
2022. Oh, what a shame. Just not quite getting the right shot, so she'll pick up 4 for the refusal.
Natalie Dean, Erin Ballard.
Time is good. She's on the turn ahead of... Oh, what a shame. But Erin Ballard's out of the running.
And Luis Fernando Larrazabal, who all eventually retired.
Fortunately, down in the triple for Luis Larrazabal and Condara.
We saw some cool new jumps, from the Kendall Jenner 818 tequila oxer to the delicate plank from the Paris Olympics that caused quite a few problems at number 7. The triple wasn't much of a factor, but the time definitely caught a few people out. Some of the highs included Conor Swail, who secured the overall title with his characteristic precision and consistency, capping off a brilliant year. Lily Keenan came close to catching him after also jumping clear, but with a run out in the jump-off, Conor's win was definite.
Has a refusal at the second fence.
Obviously, Ashlee Bond and Donatello.
She is always very, very fast.
They delivered one of the fastest jump-off rounds of the season, slicing and dicing and just skimming the jump, saving precious fractions of seconds. Her daring turn back to the Liverpool and her crazy shot into the double was breathtaking. She clinched the win with almost a full second to spare. It was a nice full circle moment as well, since Ash had publicly spoken about her uncertainty with Donnie after their poor performance at the Olympics. She wasn't sure he was still up for this level, and after giving him a break, removing his shoes, and bringing him back up to this level, it was really nice to see such a strong comeback from one of our sport's most successful pairs. Aaron Vail put in a surprisingly fast jump-off round that was smooth and slick, and with the crowd really behind him, his effort would eventually be worth silver position. Marky Blumen also rode a beautiful jump-off round to finish 3rd after what looked like a really fast round, where he used excellent body control and track to control the round. And lastly, a notable mention of Corby VV, the spectacular 9-year-old from Daniel Blumen, who jumped another meter 60 round clear. I'm telling you, a true superstar in the making. The lows, on the other hand, included Ken Farrington, who had a rail at the triple in the first round, which knocked him out of contention for both the class and the series title. He eventually finished as runner-up in the overall, but didn't place in the Grand Prix. Harry Charles, while delivering a strong effort, clipped the final fence in the jump-off, dashing any hopes of a top finish. Although a dozen combinations jumped clear, 20% of the class also retired, which isn't great statistically and clearly demonstrated the mixed field strength. In the end, the MLSJ final perfectly encapsulated the series. Bold rides, tough competition, and thrilling moments that kept us on the edge of our seats. It was a genuinely entertaining class and one of the biggest paydays in North America all year long. Next week, we will see the MLSJ teams compete for their final as the series will come to a close for the 2024 season. Over in Spain, the World Cup qualifier in La Coruña showcased typical indoor show jumping with efficient riding winning the day. Located in one of the only full-time riding arenas on the Western European World Cup Tour, the event is a favorite among athletes. Put on by the Ortega family, who owns brands such as Zara and Massimo Dutti, the Spanish show is a highlight of the World Cup league because of the beautiful venue and high-quality hospitality, including the horses' accommodations as well. An enthusiastic Spanish crowd helped cheer on the locals, who had a particularly good showing this week. Although a Spaniard didn't win the title, Jesus Garmendia Echevarria won over the hearts of the spectators, finishing on the podium with Callas, while fellow countrymen Ivan Serrano Saez and Rainman finished in fifth. The day belonged to Philipp Weishaupt and Coby, however, who put in a blazing jump-off time of 36.11 to take the win. Although Javier Trainor's course design was criticized for being too easy, resulting in 14 clears, we still got a pretty entertaining class. The jump-off highlights included Philipp Weishaupt and Coby, who sealed the win with a daring gallop to the last fence. They were actually super deep and got a bit lucky, but Coby is so fast it didn't matter. Robert Whittaker and Vermento, despite being a naturally slower pair, delivered a polished performance to claim second place. After winning the leg in Helsinki and finishing second this weekend, Whittaker and Vermento seem to have sealed their position into the final. Local hero Jesus Garmendia Echevarria thrilled the home crowd with a fast, fearless round, securing third and receiving a standing ovation. The lows, however, were pretty shocking. World number one Henrik von Eckermann and King Edward, who were celebrating their 100th meter 60 round, seemed poised for victory with an insanely fast jump-off round. But Henrik took a huge risk to the last fence, chucked the reins at King Edward, and tried to take a flyer. But with the careful gelding feeling a bit insecure, he shifted and ran out at the last second in a dramatic conclusion to their round. Michael van der Vleuten and Beauville gave it a good go, but with a super fast time, they had one down, while Marlon Modolo Zanatelli struggled with his rhythm and had two down. Despite the easy first round, the jump-off delivered in terms of speed, risk, and high-quality riding. 8 jumped double clear, and after an unexpected win from Weishaupt, who wasn't planning on even attending the World Cup finals, he said in the post-interview that he might actually have to rethink his plans after taking the win. This weekend saw the veterans take the wins, and with highly engaged fans, both events were highlights on the calendar as the year winds down. I'd rate the La Coruña World Cup with a 7 out of 10 for an exciting jump-off, but a lackluster first round. And the MLSJ Individual Final, a 7.8 out of 10 for its emotional comeback, high stakes, and thrilling atmosphere. Next week, Bytes heads to Geneva for the Rolex Grand Slam of Showjumping. With exclusive behind-the-scenes access, make sure to check out the highlights Tuesdays on Bytes. Well, that's a wrap on this week's highlights. Don't miss next week's coverage of another 5-star from La Quinta, the World Cup in Riyadh, and live from Geneva, where the stakes are as high as they get, with the top 10 final and the next leg of the Rolex Grand Slam. Will Martin Fuchs and Leonie J keep their winning streak going, or will we see last year's winner Richie Vogel maintain his title with United Touch? But before you go, check out Ashlee Bond's electrifying jump-off ride one more time. It's one for the highlights.
Yeah, but Ashlee Bond for Israel is next up with Donatello 141, two-time Olympian with this horse. She is always very, very fast. Oh, rubs that, gallops down to the double.
Stay connected on all of our socials. Subscribe, like, and follow along all the action as it unfolds here on Bytes, your 5 and 10 5-star show jumping, all in just 10 minutes.